You could be forgiven for thinking that everything in these old fishing books is a load of old rubbish and out of date. But you could be very wrong. It's not all about the modern fancy tackle. Most of good fishing is about knowledge and techniques, presentation of bait. Now, years ago we used to use something called popped up baits. Oh, I hear you thinking we're doing that all the time with those carpy-warpy things. Wrong, I'm talking about predators, popping up baits for predators. The way we used to do it 50, 60 years ago was injecting them, dead baits, dead fish, with air to get them up off the bottom. Now, you can also do that for species like Zander and even perch. Zander are a predator. I think they call them walleye over in America, Canada, that sort of way. But still the same thing, it's a predator. Especially handy this method is in the autumn and winter when all the leaves from the trees are on the water or down on the bottom before they rot away. Because any bait that sinks down is liable to be covered. Predators are visual hunters, therefore they need to see your bait. Of course, I know they can smell it, but they need to see it primarily. They're visual hunters. They have what's called binocular vision. It's this way. Going forward, when you look at a pike's eyes, they're going forward. That's their strike zone. So I'm going to show you how I pop up my baits for Zander using a hypodermic needle and some air. I'm going to do it in my fish pond. Let's get out there, because it's the closest thing to water I've got at home. Okay, now here is a roach dead bait. This is my syringe. Very, very ancient one. So it's just a regular hypodermic syringe of the large size. I take the actual needle out of the safety sheath there, pop it over the end, and then what I'm going to try and do is inject some air from the back of the fish. So I'm going up underneath the scales there. You can see it goes underneath the scales and drive some air in there. Now you can do it sort of shallow if you like to get it under the skin, but years ago we used to like to try and get into those centre cavity organs if you can, like the intestine bits, because they are much more receptive to, say, stretching. So we're trying to get in the body cavity and inject the air inside. I'm taking a regular barbless single hook, which is what we use for Zander, and I've got a swan shot on there, an SSG. I'm going to lower it in my pond. I'm using my pond because the water's clear and there's leaves in there from all the trees. You can see the oil from the fish spreading in the circle there, and I haven't even covered that in raptor oil yet. So here we go, we lower it down through the water, put the camera underwater, and you can see there absolutely perfectly popped up that bait. It's right in the visual strike zone of any predator, pike, perch or roach, and it's above all that blanket weed there. Now don't forget, a lot of the time you're never going to know what's out in front of you. I will know there are leaves around because if I'm fishing near trees, it's logical that the leaves are going to blow in the water, go on the bottom and cover my bait, so that's not a problem. But many waters have other types of weed and you're not going to know what's in there. You can also make a what we call a back hooked bait there. Just hook it through the back, it's still injected with air, and when you lower it down it looks exactly like a dead fish, because a dead fish, when it's dead and dying, the decomposing body gases turn it on its side or upside down, like this, exactly. So the shot tows it down to the bottom, and by back hooking it, you can see there that that's laying perfectly above all that blanket weed. Now listen guys, I know a lot of waters don't have blanket weed in. They are most certainly going to have other types of weed, and they're going to have all those leaves, like those oak leaves on the bottom. You can see by setting the shot where I want, say 5-6 inches, I can pop that bait perfectly up above the bottom, and that's right in that strike zone. You can also move and twitch this bait around, and that's what I used to do a lot for piking. You would cast out and just move it and pop that shot back across the bottom, knowing that the bait is well clear of any weed, any leaves, any debris on the bottom. And when you look at it from above, which is where a pike might be swimming above and looks down, you can see he can see the bait as well. Well, I showed you what they look like in my fish pond. I'm going to show you what they look like in the lake, and that's what I'm going to do exactly that same way. Because of all the leaves, try and pop a whole bait up. Mike's fishing here with half sections, and hopefully we get fish between us, but I want to try with maybe a slightly bigger fish on that pop tap section, make it a bit more visual. Let's get that needle into him. Well, what we normally use are these half sections of roach, which you buy in the tackle shop. They're frozen. Cut them in half with a pair of scissors, and head or tail section. Doesn't seem to make much difference really. And what we're going to do is this. So having filled it with air, what I want to do is get it fishing upside down. I've got one fishing nose down in the theory. The first one is already out, by the way. In the theory that it looks like maybe a roach is feeding on ground bait, something like that. He's not looking over his shoulder. Along comes Mr. Zander from the back, bang, grabs it. This one I want to fish just in there, lightly in the back, and I'll put one shot about there, a BB, just to keep it in position basically, and I want it floating upside down, which is what a dead fish does. It gasses up and floats upside down. Let's get a BB on this and just cast it out and see what we can catch. There we go. Because it doesn't hurt pinching a shot on. It's on wire. You can pinch it quite tight, and that's literally all it is, you can see. So it's going to fish anchored upside down just off the bottom like that, and I'm barely going to tighten up to it. And don't forget, this doesn't weigh what you think it weighs. When it's in the water, it weighs a lot less. I don't have the scientific data for what a shot weighs. It definitely weighs less. Let's get it out there. We're taking two vehicles because Mike had to come on home, but I wanted to stay on. The Zander are a nocturnal species, and although it's going to be mightily cold that night, I figured if I hung on to low light levels, my chances are going to skyrocket. There he is, hooked, just on the corner there. Let's just turn it over, and that's the beauty of the hook. It pops out. That's worth getting cold for, I know. There, we got him. There we go, guys. Look at the fangs on that. Big teeth, big old teeth. And look, the breath on me is freezing out here tonight. Great looking Bury Hill Zander. And that is just popping those baits just up off the leaves there. Boy, am I glad I changed my hat from the cap to this warm one. Let's get him back. There he goes. Let him recover in a second or two. There he is. Off he goes. After that fish, man, what a result. I don't know how to say this, another one. Guys, bait's been out about 30 seconds. And the bobbin's gone straight up again. So worth getting cold for. I bet Mike's sick, he's gone home. Don't matter how cold it is, you should have stayed on. Yes, about a twin of the first one there. Not a big fish, but I tell you what, gratefully accepted. You can just see there that predatory eye. If I take my torch off, you can see the sort of mirror-like effect in it. Let's see where this one's hooked. Yeah, I can get that. Oh, the hook fell out there, guys. There you go. That's another prime Bury Hill Zander. About the average size here, I guess. 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds, something like that. Great fish. There he is, guys. The best picture I can get for you because I'm on my own. Nice looking Zander. Can't wait to get that bait out. As cold as the fingers are, it's worth getting another one out there. Good fish. And they say lightning doesn't strike twice. I'm afraid it struck 3 times that night. Here we go, GP with yet another popped up Zander. Check out the gloves, guys. It's really cold. There we go. A bit bigger this time. Nice fish. Lovely looking fish here. It's a little bit bigger than the others. There he is. A bit bigger than the others. Nice looking fish there. Sort of torpedo head to it, isn't it? But they're very, very twitchy bites. Very twitchy bites. That's a nice fish. That's the biggest one for me tonight. Wonder how long can I hold on. Breath is really steaming here. Beautiful. That water is so cold. Pretty cool looking with the fins going like that. Just getting this balance here. And I guess that's just how they lay, camouflage maybe, and then dart out and grab the small fish. Away he goes. Well listen, I hope you got some tips there. Try that popped up baits for perch, zander, pike, just predators, pretty much anywhere. It works. Me, I'm going back to the books. See if I can find something else, a different old school bait. Yeah, this guy seems to know what he's talking about.
Also be, this could go on for infinity.